Okay, my central atom, or my central for everything on here, is going to be the atom. And on the atom, you have the proton, isomer, neutron, electronegativity, and the element. On the proton is an acid, and there's a base, which are created by a proton. And then an acid and base, neutralization of both of those equals a salt. And carboxylic acid can be created by using an acid, which is a fatty acid, also is created by a carboxyl acid. A lipid is pretty much a fatty acid because it's fat and it doesn't dissolve in water. And then a phospholipid is created by using lipids. Phosphorus includes phospholipids. And then a fatty acid can make unsaturated fat and saturated fat. The difference between the two is going to be the unsaturated fat has a high proportion of double bonded carbons, and then the saturated fat is going to be the one that doesn't have double bonds. So I think that's protons, and then there's hydronium ion, and then the hydrogen ion off the proton as well. Isomer is going to be of an atom. It's going to have the same atoms, just a different structure and a different layout of the atoms. A neutron is going to be the neutral form found off the atom nucleus. And then electronegativity is going to be the attraction of elements or of atoms. Ionic bonds is held together by two ions with the same or different electronegativity. An electron is going to be the negative charged ions or negative charged atoms found on the atom's nucleus. And then with electrons, you get bonds, and then bonds are also created by electronegativity. And then you have a non-covalent bond, which shares electrons and is nonpolar. And then the polar covalent bond is normally a chemical bond. The double covalent bond shares 4 electrons between 2 atoms, and then the triple covalent bond shares 6 electrons between 2 atoms. And then we have valence electrons, which is the outer shells that electrons sit in. Then we have the anions, which are negatively charged ions. I believe that's all of the electrons. Then next we can go to elements. And elements, the atomic weight, obviously, which is the mass of the element, and then atomic number, which is the protons in the element. And then we can go to the chemical compounds, which water is created by a chemical compound, and water can also be an isotope, which means it has a different form but the same atoms. Then we have oxygen, and then with oxygen you can get the oxidation redox reaction, and that includes electron donors and electron acceptors, which either donates their electrons or accepts other elements' electrons. And then we have, off of water, we have hydrogen, which is another element of water. And then we have the hydrogen bond network of water, which is the way water bonds to things. And then we have the hydrogen bonding, which is the way hydrogen bonds to different elements. And then we have the methylene, which is going to be how hydrogen bonds to different carbon. And then we have hydroxyl, which is going to be how hydrogen bonds with oxygen. And then with hydroxyl, it creates alcohol. And then with methyl, it has carbon. It's the way what methyl includes in it, which is hydrogen and carbon. And then carbon is created in carboxyl, and carboxyl make amino acids. So then we have elements. Then we have the molecule, which cohesion of molecules is the attractiveness of the molecules together. And then we have the adhesion, which is the repulsion of different molecules. With that, we have hydrophobic interactions, which means water does not attract, or elements don't attract to water. And then we have the molecular weight, which is the mass of the molecule. And then with that, we have Dalton's, which is the units you use in the molecular weight. And then the Avogadro's number is just the quantity. Then we have the molarity, which is going to be the concentration of the molecule. And then we have the units, which is moles and liters, which is moles of solvent for liters of solution. And then we also have the chemical compounds again. We have chemical compounds that create amino, and then amine is contained in amino. And then here is the